So, the entire country is now up in arms over the murder of a homeless man on the subway by some random guy who just decided all on his own to put him in a chokehold and kill him because he got annoyed. Obviously, there's been an explosion of excuses by the right as to why murder on the subway is now completely justifiable. And taking away the obvious racial component of this, the excuses themselves are really something else. As per Alejandra Caraballo, or Caraballo, I'm not sure which, the media actually knew the identity of the murderer, but chose not to release his name. So a mistake by the Daily Mail as well as the internet have pinned it down. His name is Daniel Penny, an ex-Marine who's pictured here. Media had the name of Daniel Penny but didn't release it to protect him. Looks like the Daily Mail accidentally leaked the last name of Jordan Neely's killer, Daniel Penny, on a photo caption hours before he was officially identified. So now it's confirmed that news orgs had his name for some time but would not release it to protect him. And of course, there is plenty of footage, plenty of photos of Penny putting Neely into a chokehold on the F train on Monday. So this man killed was named Jordan Neely. He was known by subway riders as your typical nuisance. Mentally ill, spastic, unaware of proper social cues. So now that big bad Penny got annoyed enough and he was on the train, he decided all on his own to kill Neely before going about his day. And the absolutely reprehensible responses by people are making me furious. Absolutely furious. Have some empathy. Understand that murder is a totally justifiable response to someone making you uncomfortable on the subway. Gaw! I ride the subway a lot. Not a week goes by that a mentally ill person doesn't get on and terrorize the entire car, especially women and Asians. Usually men just sit there and pretend it's not happening. It's a disgrace that working New Yorkers have to live like this. We don't know enough to judge what happened to Jordan Neely, but lots of people who don't live in New York and lots of people who don't ride the subway have a lot of opinions on this, and they need to take a seat. It's working class New Yorkers who have to face down this violence. Maybe you should have a little humility before you tell a working class person that it's the human right of a mentally ill, drug addicted person wearing no pants to scream in their face and wildly gesticulate at them every other day while they try to get to work so they can feed their kids. Bitch, who is not aware of their share of lunatics and smelly ass people on your typical subway ride or on a city bus or pretty much anywhere on a public street corner in this country, let alone New York City? Sargon, Ungar Sargon, is this your first fucking day in New York? New York City is supposed to pride itself on the number of nuisances and nutcases running around 24/7. That's practically in the slogan. And New Yorkers also pride ourselves on how well we ignore it because we are well aware of the fact that this is what happens when mental illness and poverty go consistently unchecked in this country. Like I said before, it's a ripple effect. It's all a ripple effect. You think people in other advanced nations don't have mental illness? That they don't also use medication? That their people don't also have problems? But people like Neely are just so commonplace, especially in the big cities, like New York. They are so commonplace that their presence is taken as inevitable. It's a major part of media, especially in New York. It has been for decades in this country. Okay, it's so commonplace. When you're talking about New York especially, something would be wrong if we didn't see these people on the subway. Something would be wrong if we didn't have to put up with them on the buses or on the street corners or in just about any shop you go into in this country. It's everywhere. Like I said, it's practically part of the slogan, and it's like that for a reason. Homeless and schizophrenic and violent and unkempt people is your expectation on the subway. It's seen as a part of public life in the United States. And of course, I'm not saying people, are going to like it. People don't like it for the various typical reasons. Of course, when you're trying to get home or you have to take the bus or whatever, you don't want to be bothered by others. You don't want to be asked for anything. You don't want to be hit on. You don't want to fear for your life or safety. So tell me then, what does it mean when it's this homeless, mentally ill, dangerous guy who is the one who has to fear for his life? That this guy who doesn't have a home to go to, if he's such a problem, why is he the one who's dead and not your ass? And why the fuck is everyone suddenly blaming him out of the thousands like him in a city like New York? Like you've never seen it before. These fucking people are talking like mental illness and homelessness and grubby, stinky people being loud and disruptive on a subway train or a public city bus. It is a completely alien concept to them. I can promise you it's not. You see, plain and simple, nobody seems to realize or care that people like Neely require actual, tangible help. Just the same as you or I do, but to different extents. These people need shelter. They need treatment. They may need supervision. Because every single human being requires necessities and care in order to survive, let alone to thrive. Neely was the guy he was because of a culture that learns from its government and media and for-profit systems like the for-profit healthcare system that everything in existence is a privilege that you have to earn so long as you have enough money or personal support. If you're struggling or worn down or you can't make ends meet, then you are stigmatized. That isn't because something is seriously fucking wrong in this country. Well, that's a result of your personal failure. Your failure as a human being. And if you're a person like Neely, who was downright destitute and haggard and homeless and clearly completely mentally unbalanced. Well, as our dear old ex-Marine Penny so eloquently exhibited to us, then you're nothing more than useless garbage beyond redemption, and you must be exposed of like the rest of the trash. That's how they see it. People are legit, as I speak, taking to social media to exclaim their relief and their smug satisfaction, like this bitch right here, that some random douche came along to put an undesirable out of his misery. That's what they think of the situation. That's what they think of him, because that's what they're conditioned to think of people like Neely. Undesirables. They obviously know that he had problems. They knew enough that there are a lot of Neelys out there. But the reason people like Neely is on the bus scaring them all is because people like Neely are not in a hospital or a shelter or a group home or eating a proper meal or taking their medication or staying with family or don't have their own home to go to. In their minds, of course, people like Neely aren't going to have any of these things. Nobody's gonna pay to make sure these people are taken care of. Your city, your county, your state, your whole fucking country just has no interest in helping Neelys, because there's no money in helping people like Neely. There is no care to help people like Neely. The way your country is run, Neelys are just simply a waste of resources. And how the hell do you expect the public is going to see them? Instead of being outraged, about the old saying that how the least among us are treated speaks volumes on the decency and virtue of a civilization. People are instead perfectly fine with the status quo, and they're just so elated that they are not unfortunate enough to belong to that garbage class. They know that when they see somebody who's really bad off, they're a lost cause, because they themselves need to hold it together so tight just to survive themselves. Looking at people like Neely actually makes them feel better about themselves. And they completely forget that at any moment in this country, they could very well wind up in the exact same position. There are people that still don't realize they are far closer to somebody like Neely than any of the billionaires or the right-wing politicians that they're sitting here listening to tell them that it's good that someone actually has the balls and dispose of the Neelys of America. You see, because the more the Neelys are taken out, the more homeless people get put out of their misery, the more that people who are indoctrinated enough to come forward and take the entire law into their own hands and just break the neck of somebody who is too poor to afford a meal or too mentally ill to have gotten proper help, then that's the less people will look at them and call them out for the horrible things they do, the horrible things they say, all of the horrible inequities in this country that can affect any one of us at any time. I don't know how many times I have to remind people, like practically all of them, these freaking maggot right-wing hicks, of how much closer they are to that bum digging for a chicken bone from a dumpster than they will ever be to billionaires. And this is why it happens. Like I said, with the shootings and all the other goddamn bullshit going on in this country, what else do you expect to happen? What else do you think is going to happen? Nobody in any advanced nation has this type of a problem. When their people pay taxes, they expect it to work for them. People get food when they need food. They have shelter because they need shelter. Healthcare is a guarantee. But no, when you live in a country where a fucking roll of toilet paper is seen as a privilege that you have to earn, let alone health care or a shelter or food, what do you expect to happen? You're going to see more and more fallout from this type of shit. And so long as they themselves are doing okay, they feel good, they feel justified in looking at that mentally ill person on the subway or that homeless guy lying against the double doors on the side of the road and say, just a personal and moral failing on their end. Nope, it's their fault. They just feel so happy they're not in that position. And it's like, bitch, you're this close from being in that position. That guy over there that you see that's homeless, he could have been making 3 times what you did just a year ago. It's the policies. It's the way this country is run. This garbage that you see around you, that's not moral failing. It's by design. The people who are supposed to be taking care of this don't want to. This is the result. And you sit there and you're gleeful that some random douchebag just kills them. After all, he was an inconvenience to you. I think the truly scary part about this entire discourse is society adding another justification for murder. Loud and erratic is not justification for murder. And that accusation could literally be used against anyone, especially protesters. Yep, the same people that complain about the homeless and mentally ill are the ones who refuse to fund anything to address any root cause. Their only response? Lock people up. So deranged that this kind of shit is okay so long as it's the right people being harmed. And that's what it is. But then we get back to that whole racial aspect of it. I don't know. I just think it's bullshit. I really, really hope this Penny son of a bitch gets put away for a long time. I really do. Anyway, I just wanted to rant that real quick.